Here's a brief review of some of the key themes from this year's meeting from the 2019 Scientific Program Co-Chairs.
With regard to mechanosensing mechanisms, there have recently been advances in materials science and microlithography that have enabled bioengineers to recapitulate organ-level function in artificial environments. And that technology has enabled hematologists to make new discoveries regarding everything from how hematopoietic stem cells progress and develop to how clots form over long periods of time. So we're going to discuss those types of that type of science in the first session. In the second session, which is redefining cell lineage, it's the case that there have been advances in single-cell technologies and chromatin mapping, and that coupled with advances and novel approaches to bioinformatics have enabled us to look at hematopoiesis in a detail that has not previously been possible. So rather than just looking at surface markers, which we've done for decades, we can now look at the genomes of single cells, and that helps us understand better how these different lineages are connected and how they develop. And then, in the final session, which is complications of sickle cell disease. Sickle cell disease is an amazing disease where a single base pair mutation causes really severe pathology in almost every organ system. And so we're going to go through a bunch of different sort of vignettes almost of different complications and new therapeutic approaches that are being derived from basic science research, all the way up to clinical trials.
In thinking about presentations for the malignant part of Best of ASH, I wanted to focus on three main areas. So one is basic mechanisms of disease, and in choosing abstracts that were presented to speak to that, I was particularly interested to choose abstracts where there was a focus on mutations, often mutations that have been recently described in heme malignancies, but their mechanism of causing tumour formation has been poorly understood. And some of the abstracts that will be presented show some really unexpected and very interesting insights into how tumour formation occurs. They also show some interesting technical innovations. Some of these talks feature very detailed three-dimensional single-cell analyses, as well as integrated chromatin state mapping and transcriptional regulation. So hopefully this will be of interest to a broad audience. The second theme is new therapeutic approaches, and so like any ASH meeting, there are a huge number of abstracts that show a lot of very exciting developments with new agents, new approaches, very impressive outcomes. And again, Best of ASH is very selective. It can only present a small number of abstracts. So I've tried to represent a diversity of tumour types, so it will include acute myeloid leukemia, acute lymphoblastic leukemia, myelodysplasia, multiple myeloma, as well as different treatment approaches, including cellular immunotherapy, antibody-based immunotherapy, and new targeted approaches as well. And the third theme is resistance, and it's a timely year, I think, to speak about this because there have been a number of new therapeutic approaches, also some that have been used now for some years, and we're starting to see, as is often the case with targeted therapy, resistance emerge. And so then a big challenge for us is to understand why does it emerge, can we predict it, can we prevent it, and can we circumvent it? So I've chosen three abstracts that again look at different diseases that again I think have some very interesting novel insights into why resistance emerges.